It's a goddamn red Gyarados right on the front. Oh, I love it. Oh, woke up this morning, got yourself a gun. Guys, we're back. Episode 2. How's everyone doing? Yeah, so we have our latest episode coming up. Today's going to be a lot about some of the pickups that I did in the past couple of weeks. I am catching up here on the YouTube. A little bit under the weather still, so please don't mind my voice. It may crack, may cough, is what it is. But yeah, what's today? January 3rd, Saturday. It's going to be our second YouTube video. I'm going to be covering some of the stuff that I picked up at a show probably about 2 weeks ago. The show was Collector's Paradise. It was Saturday, December 20th, I think. Yeah, Saturday, December 20th. It's going to be a lot of the topics about today is some of the things that I did, some of the items that I picked up for my collection, and, again, how I kind of round out why I vend to increase the cards that I have. On the topic, there is still time to get in the giveaway. Prismatic Evolutions Booster Bundle. All you got to do, like this video, like my first video, subscribe would be really cool. And then do me a favor, go to my Instagram at Nicky Cards and just send me a DM, send me a message, show me your favorite item in your collection. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna pick the winner. How long am I gonna run this giveaway? Well, I don't know, maybe another couple weeks or so. I think I'm gonna wait till like 100, maybe 200 subscribers and then give this out. It's a lot of good stuff going on. I'm excited for this journey. I had a lot of support going along the way here for YouTube. So, we're ready to kind of get rocking and rolling today, guys. Let's get started with the first item. All right, guys, item number 1 that we picked up at the Collector's Paradise show is a beautiful box of XY Primal Clash. Guys, this is a box that I've always wanted. Groudon and Kyogre are two of my favorites. I remember playing the games and, those were two of the legendaries, if you will. I always went after Groudon because I'm more of a red guy, Charizard red. I wasn't a Blastoise, Kyogre blue, so I vibe Groudon a little bit harder. But yes, this beautiful box, it is in great condition, as you can see. As I said, I only collect minty boxes. So what I did for this one was I saw a vendor at the show and I was like, hey man, what do you want for that box? And he was like, I want X amount of cash. And I was like, why don't we do a trade? The vendor was actually super cool. He essentially said like, listen, I'll give you some decent numbers on your cards. Just give me a little bit of cash and we'll make it work. So what we ended up doing, I had a beautiful Crystal Golem PSA 9. I love crystals, I love cards, but it's something where boxes just kind of mean more to me on the collector side. So what I ended up doing was I had the Crystal Golem and he gave me about 1,700 value on the Crystal Golem. I was into the card for probably around $1,100 between the cards that I traded to get into it. So to me, to get 1,700 for it was a no-brainer. The reason why he gave me 1,700 was there was a high sale, the last 2 sales. The high sale was 2,000, which had just happened like a couple days before the show. And then there was a sale of 1,200. And he was like, listen, I'll kind of do you a favor here. And I was like, if you're going to take that as 1,700, like I'm fine with that. Obviously, your in cost, that's an important thing about doing this. So in my head, I'm like, all right, cool. I'm into this. There's 1,100 right there. Also had a Stormfront Charizard PSA 8. Now I picked up the Charizard at a show in May for about $400 before all this vintage boom really started to explode. So he looked at the Charizard, there was a high sale of 1,000 that had just happened. And I was kind of trying to capitalize, like, hey man, I have, let me put this down. I was like, I have, this card here. I knew that I was into it good. I didn't really reveal my cards, if you will. I was like, but there is a high sale of $1,000. So, what do you want to do about this? And he was kind of looking at it, he was mulling it over. There was actually a guy next to him at the table and he was like, I'll probably buy that. And I was like, listen, I thought he was talking to me. I was like, I don't sell cards at other people's tables to other bystanders. And the guy was like, no, I didn't mean that. I was saying like, I'll pay the vendor if he takes it from you. And I was like, oh, all right, cool. Well, that's fantastic. So the guy said, listen, I'll give you 800 for the Stormfront Charizard if you take that from me, and I'll give you, 1,800 for the Golem. So the vendor, follow me here, was taking my Golem at 1,700 and immediately going to sell it for 1,800 right there. And then he was going to take my Charizard in at 800 and get his 800 right back. So We had 17 value and 800 value. So we were at $2,500. The box kind of comped between like 2.7 and 3K, and he was like, let's do 2.8. And I was like, all right, that's fine. Like, just get me this box. It's perfect. So I ended up giving him $300. We got the deal done, and I walked away. It was a beautiful box. On the topic of the Primal Clash, so if we kind of did an into cost and how much I got this box for, and I don't mind sharing that with you guys. This is like a YouTube channel. This is what it's all about, right? So I was into the Golem for probably around 1,100 bucks. I was into the Charizard for around 400 bucks, and I gave him 300. So to me, if I get a box like this for $1,800, because it took me a couple months of those cards growing, I capitalized when there were high sales, and the vendor said, hey, I can sell these right away. It worked out for everybody. This is like a 3K box, guys. And listen, it's absolutely beautiful. So that's what it's all about, is, you know, buying cards that you think are gonna do good in the future to move them into stuff that you want. And like, this is what I want. Gold stars are cool, crystals are cool. I think they're awesome. I don't ever see myself putting PSA 10 money into a gold star. So for me, it's kind of like, get boxes, let the boxes grow, get vintage boxes. I have my grails, as you can see. I have my, you know, BGS. I've talked about these, the first editions. But what I really, you know, kind of want to do next is get a vintage box to switch this up and turn this into a vintage display where I maybe have 1, 2, 3 boxes in the future. All Sword and Shield down here. And I'd like to get Scarlet Violet and Mega Air at the bottom. Yeah, so I love the Primal Clash. This one's staying in my collection for years to come. Again, if I see a vintage box, this is bait. Fossil, Jungle, Rocket, Base, that's the only way that this is gonna go. If I need to move it to get more funds, if I get an opportunity for a box, that's when this will go. But for right now, it's gonna stay in my collection. Number two, what we did. So I don't physically have this item because I did a deal for the item at the show. So follow me here. There was a vendor that had a Fusion Strike box, and I was kind of walking around, and I was like, how much do you want for the Fusion Strike box? They were comping around $850 just about. The box was a little bit banged up. It really was. It was a little bit banged up. And what I noticed was, hey, it's a kind of banged up, so I tried to use that to my advantage. So what I did was, I said, hey man, what's the best you can do on this box? We kind of negotiated for 5 minutes. He started to kind of give me the feels that he wanted to get rid of the box. And he was like, let's do $750. And I was like, ooh, that's a really good number. And I was like, we're probably gonna close there, but let me try to get a little bit better. And I was like, I could do 700. And he was like, let's flip 700 or 750. And I was like, okay, why not? Let's try. I lost the coin flip. Yep, I suck. I lost the coin flip. So I ended up paying $750 for the box, which is still a good price for an $850 box. Bring that over to my table. Okay, now follow me here. Why is this kind of important? A little bit of time went by. A little bit of time. I had an Alakazam Gold Star PSA 8, and I had a Crystal Kabutops PSA 8 reverse, right? The comps on the Alakazam were kind of like 2,500. There was a 2,000 sale. It was kind of going down a little bit. The Crystal Kabutops had a high sale of 400. It ended up kind of, you know, I was like, hey, where can we be on this? He ended up offering me, all in all, $2,550. We kind of got to that point for the Alakazam and for the Crystal Kabutops. So I said, sure, let's do it. He PayPal'd me, I got $2,550. So now I had some more ammo, right? And that was like, I was like, all right, cool. We're locked and loaded. So what do? I go and I try to get another box. Lo and behold, this guy was hanging out at this show. Little XY breakpoint. So what happened with the XY breakpoint? How did we get to this point, right? So the same guy that sold me the Primal Clash was walking out of the show. And I was like, you still got that breakpoint? He was like, yeah. And I was like, let's talk. So the guy had a bucket and he stopped at my table, opens the bucket, pulls out this box. Look at this freaking box. It's a goddamn red Gyarados right on the front. Oh, I love it. I love it. So we were talking about the box and I was like, listen, like what can we do to get this box? We were going back and forth, had some numbers that were coming out, right? All in all, what we ended up doing was I had the Fusion Strike box. Yeah, sorry, lost my train of thought there for a second. I had the Fusion Strike box I knew I was into the Fusion Strike box for $750. And he was like, I'll take it at $800. And I was like, okay, cool. Take the box at $800. I had about $120 worth of raw. It was like a Venusaur, it was a Vaporeon, and it was like a Moltres, right? And they were in pretty good shape. So he was like, all right, those aren't bad. So now we're at like 900, right? We're looking at the numbers, and he was like, give me 1,300 bucks and give me these and we're good. And I was like, I just got 25.50 from the other cards. This box is beautiful. You don't see these from people who are reputable. This vendor was very reputable, and he was friends with someone that I knew through my Instagram, so I was comfortable, like, hey, why not? I'm down. He's got the box. This is freaking perfect, right? So I ended up doing that deal. So I gave him the $1,300 PayPal. I gave him the $100 in raw. It was really like $120, but we did $100 on it. And I gave him the Fusion Strike box. So all in all, we were up to like 2,200. The box comps, I don't know, 23, 24, somewhere around there. He was down to move it. I mean, listen, this Topps, it's not even pop, dude. Look at that. This is in great shape. Caesar on the back, holy shit. And then we have the red Gyarados. There's no way. I didn't know I needed this box until I saw this box. So honestly, it was something where I was like, this is coming home with me. It's going to my collection. So the two best pickups from the show, and this is why I vend, is they turned into these. Look at this. These are great. Little Primal Clash, little Breakpoint, red, love it. But yeah, guys, that's like, you know, that's kind of how I do things, right? I vend to collect and increase my collection. You know, financial gains are cool. You know, when I need the money and I want to take the money in, I'll move stuff into money. A lot of my strategy is buying cards at a better price, selling them, flipping them, trading them, getting into boxes. And when you have an opportunity, it's time to strike. When you see cards and you see boxes that are rare and they're with the right people, sometimes you pay a little bit of a premium just to get yourself into these proper boxes. There's a lot of fakes going around, so to me, I'll pay a little bit more every single time to make sure and confirm the authenticity, and that's kind of why I do this. And that's what it's all about, man. You know, and just continuing the collection, bolstering everything. And yeah, I was very happy with the show. To round it out, guys, remember, get in the giveaway. I'm trying to give you a free Prismatic Booster Bundle. Listen, I know that I'm newer here on YouTube. Hope to share my passion over the time here that we're doing this, and it's, you know, it's been a lot of fun already. I appreciate all the kind words and support from everybody. If you can like and subscribe and you like the video, just do me a favor, help me out, hit the buttons that you gotta hit. Nikki Cards on Instagram. Regarding YouTube releases, I don't know how often I'm gonna make videos, but you know, it's something where, hey, we have our second video in 3 days. So, you know, maybe I'll try to release 2 or 3 a week and just kind of keep it moving. Catch me at shows. My next show is next Saturday. We're doing the big show on January 11th in Bridgewater. I kind of have a pretty premier table, so I'll be in the front in New Jersey. Feel free to come through, say what's up. You know, I love taking pictures of people and hanging out and just kind of sharing my love for the hobby. It's been a great day. I hope you guys have a great day also. Hope you guys have a good rest of your weekend. Enjoy your Sunday tomorrow. Nikki Cards out.